Parent Solution. And today we have here with us Dr. Laura Markham. Welcome, Dr. Laura.
Thank you, Filsa.
Dr. Laura is a clinical psychologist, author, speaker, and has served many parents across the world. And today she is going to tell us more about how to feed a toddler, like big topic for all the mothers across the world. Like feeding a child is a battle. So tell us how to handle that.
So feeding a child is not a battle and shouldn't be a battle. And if it's a battle, we're doing something wrong because humans have been eating and growing up for as long as there have been humans, or we wouldn't be here. So it's not, doesn't need to, there's nothing in it that should be a battle. So the most important thing for every parent to remember is that children do not starve themselves. Number one, they can't starve themselves. You do not have to force food on them. Two, they completely take their cues from us. They absolutely, the taste buds in a child are different than the taste buds in an adult. They tend to really like sweet things more than we do, for instance. So that's what they love to have. They tend to not like bitter things. You know, as we get older, there are certain vegetables that are a little bitter. There are famous studies with kale, for instance. The baby, you give a baby who's about 8 months old a little ground up kale, and she's like,
okay.
She doesn't love it, but she swallows it. She swallows it. She doesn't spit it out necessarily. So, and then by the time she's about 18 months old, she's like, she will spit it out, right? But here's the really interesting thing. When she's 15 and you feed her kale again, the babies who were given kale as a baby, they're like, not bad. Give me some more. Okay. Whereas the ones who were not given kale as a baby, you're like, this is terrible. It's so bitter. So it matters what we expose our children to, especially in the very beginning, the first 6 months of feeding them. It matters what we expose them to because it sets up their taste buds to recognize it later in life. Here's the thing. Humans are designed not to eat things that might poison them, right? We did toddlers who ate things off the bush that were poisonous, berries. They didn't live. They didn't pass on their genes. The ones who were more cautious are the ones who lived to pass on their genes to the rest of us. So toddlers especially do not like to try new things. But if we've let them try new things from the very beginning that are more interesting things, they will have a wider interest in, they're going to be willing to try more different things, and they're going to like more different kinds of food. So that's one thing that's really important to remember. We want to give them lots of different kinds of food, but also no unhealthy food. There's no reason whatsoever that any child ever needs sugar. It's just bad for them, right? Bad for them. So toddlers do not need sugar ever, ever, ever. What they do need is protein and vitamins, right? And you can't help but get some carbs into them along the way if you're giving them protein and vitamins, because there will always be carbs in that. If you give them a little sweet potato, there's going to be some carbs in that, as well as the nice taste of the sweet potato, as well as the vitamin A that they're getting from eating it, right? So that's what we need to give our children. We need to give them healthy food. If children are given French fries and candy or cake or ice cream, they're going to want those things. They're going to ask for those things. They're going to refuse to eat anything except those things. And then you're setting them up for a lifetime of eating stuff that is not that good for them. There is no reason whatsoever to give kids food that's not good for their bodies. None. And there's no reason whatsoever to fight with your child about how much they're eating. Our job is to put healthy food in front of them in a big variety every single day. And their job is to decide how much they eat. You know, I've seen a lot of moms who follow their child around with a spoon going, open up. And you know what? That overrides the child's inner signals about when they're satiated. No, children need to decide how much to eat, and they need the autonomy of deciding, oh, I'm going to pick this thing up and put it in my mouth. Never be using a spoon with a toddler. You barely need to use a spoon with an infant, barely, because you're not feeding them early enough. By the time the infant is ready for food, which is like you're looking at their cues, right? They're giving you cues about when they're ready for food, which might be 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, 11 months. Sometimes it's 6 months, but not usually. Most kids will give you these cues by trying to reach for whatever you're eating. Great. Now they're ready. And you put things in front of them that they can pick up in their hands and put in their mouth that they're not going to choke on, right? Things that are healthy for them. And you're not using a spoon. There's no reason you need, because a spoon is like imagine if you, in order to eat, had to have somebody put a spoon in your mouth over and over again. That would be a terrible thing. Can you imagine? Yeah. You open your mouth, and like, no, I'm still swallowing. Don't put anything in my face, right? We do this to babies. There's no reason you would do this to a baby, and you certainly wouldn't be doing it to a toddler. None. Yeah. Toddlers pick up and eat. They need the autonomy to say, oh, I like this. This is cool. This is a pea. And we've learned that children's language acquisition is increased if you talk to a child while they're eating about what they're eating, because they're like, oh, this is all squishy, this sweet potato. Oh, the pea rolls. You know, they're learning about the foods as they eat them. And based on having the physical experience, they're able to attach a word to it that you're giving them, right? So it helps their language, expressive language. So look at what our takeaway is. 1, the child only needs food. 2, they need their autonomy, right? And 3, they never need to fight with them about how much they're eating. All we do is we put healthy food and they decide how much they're eating. They will not starve themselves. And if you go to your doctor and your doctor says your child is underweight, then you ask them, how underweight are they? Is this something I need to worry about? Should I be doing something different with diet? And you might need to talk to a nutritionist, but it is very, very rare. Most of the time, parents come to me and they say, I can't get my toddler to eat. And I say, what does the pediatrician say? Oh, he's fine. He's normal. I'm like, then why are you worried? Why would you force food on your child? They're in charge of their own body. You can never win a fight with someone else about their own body.
Yes. So taking advice from pediatrician is a big tip. I hope parents are going to use this, and never use spoon, which I heard, never use spoon. Let them have their food on their own and let them explore. Let them be the adventurous eaters. So if we don't address this picky eater thing in early childhood, will this persist in the later adulthood or adolescence age?
So remember, toddlers are designed genetically to not eat new foods so they don't die. And so when you say picky eater, you will have to put a food in front of a toddler 10 times before they try it, because that's how they're genetically wired. So picky eating is, toddlers are designed to be careful eaters, cautious eaters. I don't call that picky. I call that being a normal, cautiously, the toddler cautiously approaching a new food. But by the 10th time, and also, by the way, if they see you eating it, oh, you're eating that vegetable and you love it, right? You're really happy about this vegetable. Oh, this is so delicious, right? Not it's good for you. It's delicious. The child might think, oh, I guess I could try that. Mommy seems to like it. Maybe I'll try a little bit, right? So we don't have to force it on them. We can role model for them. They will follow in our footsteps. If we eat a lot of sugar, they're going to want those foods. So we need to be the right role model, right? But there's no way they will stay picky eaters. I mean, they're not going to stay toddlers forever, right? So they're going to grow into older children and their taste buds are going to change. Now, it is true that some people do have a limited interest in, they only like certain kinds of foods as they get older. My observation is that one of 2 things is happening. Either they have a sensory issue. Sometimes people have a sensory issue that they only like smooth food, no lumpy food or whatever. That can be operating. So you would get that checked out. But, like with an occupational therapist. Another reason would be if their parents have a very limited palate and don't serve various foods, and they haven't seen all those foods on their plate. So that's all they eat, right?
Yeah, that was a big one. So one last thing I just want to address for our viewers, like you saying that we should not introduce them with sugar or any junk food in the first place, right? So that they can choose with the...
Why would you do that? Why would you ever do that? Because we know the research is very clear. When you do that, the child... So when you don't do that, when you give them no junk food and no sugar, and you put several different healthy choices, the child will be like, I'll try this one. Not that one today. I'll try more of that one though. So they will eat a balanced diet over the course of a few days. They'll eat, one day they may eat a lot of protein, the next day they may eat a lot of carrots, but they will end up eating a balanced diet. But once you add junk food, once you add sugar, it's all bets are off. It throws off their body chemistry. So they begin to have different bacteria in their gut. Their gut biome actually changes. And when you have a different gut biome that likes sugar, that was started because of the sugar.
Yes.
And the gut biome's like, send us more sugar down here. The kid's going to be like, I want some sugar. I don't want this stuff you're giving me.
So I hope parents are listening. It's all about us, what we are choosing for our children and how we want them through their lifetime. So thank you for sharing all these tips and strategies with us, Laura. And I want all the viewers to go and reach out to Laura through her website, which I'll be putting in the description box down there. And I will be putting link of her 3 best-selling books in the description box. Thank you, Laura, for being here with us.